Okay, there's a lot of progression going on, and I just want you to listen to what I'm gonna say and don't. If you're somebody that is very much into social issues and all that jazz, I just need you to listen to what I'm gonna say and don't misinterpret it. Now, the Kenyan government or people of Kenya who identify as LGBTQ, I think plus. I don't want to mess up the alphabet, but I think it's LGBTQ, right? There's some of in Kenya we have people who identify as gay, trans, you know, all that, lesbian, um, and like over the last 2 years, there's been like pressure from the West to legalize, you know, gay and lesbianism, um, and all the other, gender identifications in Kenya. I guess that's the right term. It's I'm working on eggshells. I don't know what all those like the specific ways. I need to like educate myself more. But what happened was recently, or like the last 2 months, the communities came together and went to court to file for a right to be recognized. Now, the court said, all right, so the Kenyan court, the Supreme Court of Kenya, granted LGBTQ groups the right to form and be organizations, I think NGOs, to operate as NGOs, which will shelve them from being attacked by the government or from being, like harassed by the public or by officials. Now, the court did this, right? And it's still like it's coming out, it's still being worked on. And it's been like big news because Kenya is so conservative in that way. The government, on the other hand, does not like it. Our president is so much against it. So now, you have this thing where one party is trying to stop it, the other party, which is the most powerful party in the land, which is the courts, the judicial system, say they can merge and be groups. Now, it's a very funny situation because, not funny, but it's a very interesting situation because we all know everything that is happening in the West at some point is going to happen in our country anyway. And I think we're going to try to fight it. But I think at the end of the day, my view in this, I guess, is, you know, live and let live. You know, if somebody is if whatever somebody is doing is not stopping you from having a good night's sleep or having food, then let them do what they want. And so I think that is a very hard situation because I understand again because I was raised in Kenya how foreign this is, and to speak for the devil, I guess that's the term. It's very hard for Kenyan like uh like my grandparents to even fathom the idea of a man marrying another man. Does that make sense? And so I think I'm not saying they're not open to that idea, but I think the pace at which the West is bringing it in is a little too much, and they feel disrespected in that way because they feel like they have not been given enough time to chew on it. Does that make sense? Because I think everything has ramped up in the last 2 years way faster, and I also think social media has something to do with it, and it's mostly the younger generation that is coming out, which is, I mean, good for them. You gotta be who you are. I completely think if if you feel a certain way, then if you want to express it, that's totally fine. I think that's beautiful. That's great. But I also think because the laws of the country don't allow that, it makes it a bit difficult. Now, something I've kind of realized from this recently is that people will not like normally accept something or be bothered by something until it really bothers them. And close to that, like there's there's a lot of examples. Like one, like Kenyans, like think of um like gay marriages and things like that. It is so foreign to a Kenyan, like especially like the older generation. It's so foreign that I guess they thought it was going to take years, even like it's they thought it would be impossible for that to ever happen. But then like something happened. There was a guy who was, I think he was gay, and he was a fashion designer, if I understand correctly, and he was killed by his partner for some reason. Anyway, it sparked the changes that are now happening in Kenya, and I think other African countries are gonna follow suit. And the thing that I'm gonna tell people is some things, however much you try to stop them, eventually I think the laws of nature and freedom and democracy will win and will prevail. And so I think now there's a big, huge backlash towards this. Um, and which is, from an older generation's perspective, I can understand. But I also think, um, however much we try to fight it, as much or as long as Kenya gets more and more developed, the more we're going to see a lot of changes, especially social changes. And it's for the better, I think, especially for women, for children, and for the marginalized groups. I think it's very hard to, it's very dangerous to just put everything together and say, yeah, we are not going to do that. I think sometimes you pick the best of the bunch, and then you see what fits your people and you move forward.